Hello, you guys. So in the past, I mentioned that we would go over chronology. I don't know how many of you are familiar with it, but it's very interesting because we can see, it's hard to tell, I think, yeah, like how the brain works in different parts of the brain. See? Isn't that interesting? So our literary and observing knowing faculties are right here. And then our intuitive, reasoning, and reflective faculties are right here, which is very close to where they say that the third eye is. So I found that to be very interesting. But yeah. So I find this interesting because, like, with dementia, that's what it kind of made me think of. I used to have my dementia degree, and what happens when you have dementia is your brain, it shrinks. And as it shrinks, you know, it shrinks certain areas of your brain at a time, right? And so those areas of your brain don't work anymore. Causes forgetfulness in those areas. So it makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah. So I really don't see how anyone can say that there isn't a God. When you look at all the faculties of the brain and how different parts of the brain work for certain areas of life. Your spirituality, your language, which is down here. Oh my gosh, this is just amazing. Yeah, you could pull one of these up online and really get a close-up of it. But so like your foresight and intuition is also right here. See, look, right here where the third eye is, and then intuition is right here also. So this whole part of your brain is is basically, I believe, how you connect to God on your intuitive level, right? I'm just going to share this with you. When I pray, I notice that when I'm connecting to the Most High, when my eyes are closed, my eyes are still looking up. So I find that very interesting. Yeah, it's almost like it's connecting here as well. But anyway, so I just thought that I would share that with you. They say that people have tried to use the chronology head for divination, but it is not divination. It's not a seer. It's just showing how different parts of our brain work in different areas. So that's proven to be correct. However, they were also saying that, well, according to the size of your skull, and if there's any lumps on it and whatnot, then that has an effect on how your brain thinks in certain areas. So, but that is not so. That is proven to not be the case. All right, so when it comes to those parts, no. So if you've ever heard that is not true information, okay? Yeah, the different parts of the brain is pretty awesome. Okay, so let's get into our wisdom knowledge cards. See what we come up with. Let's see what flies out. I'm gonna pull my chair up closer. Hope you're all doing well today. No, I am. Okay. Ooh, there's a fire behind the lantern, I feel like. Yes, that's not good. We don't want to be starting any fires in the background here. No one's looking. Let's just focus on the light, on what's good. Yep. By one's actions, they tell you who they are. Well, that takes me to the Bible verse, the fruit of the Spirit. If you have the Holy Spirit, well, you aren't going to have dark actions, that's for sure. Okay? You're going to be gentle, you're going to be kind, you're going to be loving, you're going to have self-control. Yeah. You're going to have the fruit of the Spirit. Yep, you can see a lot about a person. It's part of your discernment that you should know. So if you know the Bible, if you understand right from wrong, well, you can discern, right? But then there's another type of discern as well. So that goes deeper, because there's a lot of, wolves in sheep's clothing. So, yeah, I feel like if you're going to ask for spiritual gifts, definitely ask for the gift of discernment. These days are very dark, and they're just getting darker, and it gets harder and harder for people to discern. People are deceived even greater now than ever. Now, I know that Paul said, when you ask for a gift, well, ask for the gift of prophecy. Well, the gift of prophecy is wonderful, and it was amazing back then too. But in our day, it's even more important, I feel, that you have the gift of discernment. Not only the gift of discernment, but the gift of knowledge and wisdom as well, okay? Because that means that God tells you about people and warns you about them. So you get more information, which helps you to discern well, okay? Very important. This card on the outside of it too looks like space. Almost like a meteor, huh? In a way. Like, can you see like the space dots back there? That's a neat card. Okay, let's get into our Bible cards. Our Bible scriptures. Okay. This is something that we don't do. Look at that pretty tulip. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4. Fathers, do not exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and instruction of the Lord. Yeah, because if you exasperate your children, it's overbearing to them, and it causes them to feel like losing hope. It gets to be too much on them, and that exasperating feeling. It's a horrible feeling to have, and especially our teenagers. They already have a lot on them. And then our younger children, it's too much of a load for younger children. They're just little. They can't handle doing everything, and including their schoolwork. And if we're coming down really hard on them because they didn't get the grades that we expected, well, it's exasperating. And not all children learn the same ways, and some are a little slower to pick up certain subjects. And it's true that, everybody is very intelligent in some areas, and then some they're just not as intelligent in, okay? And it's just the way that us as an individual, how our brain works, okay? Me, no. When it comes to math, when it comes to algebra and trigonometry, just don't even go there with me. I hate it. I can't see the logic in it. You know, maybe, look, if I could see the logic in it, it'd probably be different for me. Maybe I'd have more interest in it, but I really don't. I hate it. Yeah, I don't see it as logical. We don't use it. Yeah, I'm a very logical person. Some of you probably figured out I'm logical. I'm real. I don't live in an illusion. I'm not delusional. Granted, I'm very creative, so yeah, I have, a dreamer side of me, but no, but when it comes to real life, I have to be awake. I'm awake. I'm wide awake, and I'm logical in my decisions. I'm like, well, geez, is this gonna hurt me in any way? Or like, what is the possible outcome of this in this decision and that decision? Yeah, sometimes you just, it's important to be logical. So I don't know. Let's go back to learning though. Yeah, not everybody's gonna do great in every subject. All right, and don't overexert your child either. Don't give them too much outdoor work. I mean, granted, I know on a farm, there's a lot of work to be done. Just pay attention to your children, and you'll be able to discern if they have too much of a workload, okay? So let's, yeah. And by your actions as a parent, it will be seen. It will. Yeah. So if you're exasperating your children, if you're being too hard on your children, your teacher more than likely is going to pick that up because they see a lot of children every day. And if they're a good teacher, they are going to pay attention to their students. They're going to notice some things. Even when I was a Bible teacher at the church, I was teaching teenagers, and I noticed them, and I did have to go outside with one of them at one point and just let them pour their heart out to me and just be a listening ear. And sometimes, that's what's needed. So anyway, yeah, let's not exasperate our children. All right, teacher book. That was a great reminder for those of us who have children, younger children still in the home. Well, I mean, and even I guess, if your children are out of the home, we can still come down very hard on our children, like with our beliefs. And, I have one child that just does not have my beliefs. This child just doesn't want the same perspective, the same understanding, just doesn't really have, that interest. And so I feel as though, well, I am not going to exasperate my child. I'm not going to give my child a hard time for not having my same beliefs. We can pray for our children and we can be the example for them, but we are guides. Okay, we're not here to control our children. So we should not be getting angry at our child because they don't want to be what we want them to be, because they don't see things the way that we see them. Remember, diversity, like I was talking about, everyone is different and on a different level in their understanding. Okay, so you just got to be patient, right? Okay, enthusiasm. Psalms chapter 18 verse 29. By you I can run against a troop. By my God I can leap over a wall. Yeah, because with God all things are possible. It is very true. You know, without God, I wouldn't have the understandings that I have today in many things. Without God, there's many things I wouldn't have been able to accomplish. Without God, I would not have my needs met. So, you know, we look to Him and we should be grateful, very grateful for what we have. And something that just came to my mind that's very important that the Lord wants me to share with you is He wants you to remember the poor. He wants you to remember to give to the poor. There's a Bible verse that says that, you know, you give to the poor, you help other people's children, and He'll make sure that your children have what they need too. So if a time of calamity comes, if a famine comes, He will remember your children because you remembered the poor. The poor are always meek. They're always humble. It doesn't mean they're righteous. It means they're humble and they're poor, and meek. So they look to God. A meek person looks to God, which is how we're supposed to be all the time. We're always supposed to be looking to our God for our needs to be met and for Him to be with us, okay? So the poor do that also, okay? So let's not forget about the poor. It's very important. Sorry, just a minute. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So yeah, you know, the poor people that are hungry, they are poor in spirit. So just as we are to be, we look to God in everything. All right, well, let's wrap this up for now, and I will be back. I'm sending you all so much love in the Lord, our God. And remember your actions. Watch your actions and your words. I'll see y'all again in a time.